So Kevin Durant continues to be linked to the New York Knicks. Back in 2019, June 30th, he agreed to a deal with the Brooklyn Nets. He ended up not going to the Knicks, and I know a lot of fans were frustrated with him back then, but it made sense. This team just wasn't a contender, but now they are. And heading into the offseason, if the Knicks do not have a deep playoff run, and no, I don't mean the second round, if this team doesn't go to at least the conference championship, conference finals, or the NBA finals, I do think they could make another big time move. To me, though, it wouldn't make that much sense, just given the fact it's year one. It takes teams years to build chemistry, continuity, camaraderie to win. Like the Cavs, for example, are the one seed in the East. They've been together for years. Like we can't just expect this Knicks team right now to win it all. But it's the Knicks. Leon Rose can get creative. Brought in Cat, brought in McHale. He can certainly flip some guys to go get KD. To me, the ceiling is always going to be higher with superstars. So going and getting Cat enhanced the Knicks' chances to win. Going and getting KD, trading OG and Hart. It might sound kind of crazy, but like that's going to enhance the Knicks' chances to win. Like Kevin Durant's a superstar. I understand his age. He's 36 years old, but he's averaging 27, 6, and 4 on 50, 40, 90, as he always typically does. I would not personally do that trade though, because OG, when healthy, the Knicks record speaks for itself. It's always elite, right? Like last season, the Knicks were a 500 team without OG. With him, they didn't lose 2 games in a row. And then Josh Hart has become a fan favorite. Like Brunson and Hart, to me, right now, are like 1A, 1B for my favorite players. I get it's a business, but Hart just seems like the perfect guy who represents and embodies what it is to be a Knick. So I don't really want to see Hart go. Even for KD, I mean, KD's 36. Like I said, Josh Hart is about 28, 29. I think Hart's 29. So all of a sudden, if you go get KD, it might help you win that year, but long term wise, it's not. I don't think I can wrap my mind around bringing in Kevin Durant for the cost of what it would be. Not to mention every other team's going to want KD, so it's going to be a bidding war if he does become available this offseason. Even at the deadline, look how many teams went after him. It was pretty ridiculous. The Warriors, the Rockets were pushing for him. The Knicks appear to be interested, but it's going to have to be at a favorable cost. And another thing to note as well is that we just haven't seen a fully healthy Knicks team this season. We have not seen Mitchell Robinson all year long. So we've got to see what this team looks like full strength before we make a true evaluate, I guess, if you want to say. Like we can't evaluate this team until we see Mitch out there, 36 and 18, third in the East. Mitch should be back in a couple of weeks, maybe closer to playoffs, but still I just don't think the Knicks need Kevin Durant. I do want KD, don't get me wrong. Brunson, Cat, and KD would be ridiculous. But the Knicks already, I'd say their weakness is lacking depth. And if you lose Hart and OG, it's going to have even worse depth, especially if KD were to get hurt. Because now essentially you're without KD, Hart, and OG. And this was actually brought up by a Knicks, I don't know if you want to call him a beat writer, I guess, for Sports Illustrated. I'll pull up the name right now for you guys. So this is being talked about by Jeremy Brenner of SI, which stands for Sports Illustrated, I'd imagine, the New York Knicks. And he's saying that a trade for a player like Durant could help the Knicks, but his salary would have to match with some of New York's top players, which means any deal would likely force the team to say goodbye to Josh Hart and OG Anunoby, Brenner wrote. To me, it's not necessarily clickbait because I can pretty much promise the Knicks want Kevin Durant just like they've wanted Cat. It's just can they make it work? Like they were able to trade Devo Randall on a first round pick that should convey because it's the Pistons, but like that's worth it, right? But OG and Hart, I mean, Josh Hart had all star type of numbers and an all star type of impact this season. And OG, again, I don't think OG's play as well as I'd like, at least offensively, but he's had stretches like the Nuggets game, he had 40, went through some stretches where he was putting up 20, but he's also had some lackluster stretches. But come playoff time, like OG and Hart's impact to me would be just as good as Durant's, and they're both younger, right? So I don't think the Knicks should trade for Kevin Durant. I would say yes, and I did say yes heading into last offseason before Cat and Bridges, but with them, no. And I think I'd prefer to trade Bridges over both of those guys too. I know the Knicks gave up a ton of picks, but if you think about it, like if Mikal Bridges and those picks for Kevin Durant's kind of a ripoff, but if it helps win you a championship, then I don't know, nobody would be complaining. But it's just you can't make it work, right? Like Brunson, Cat, KD, OG, and Hart. Like if that were to be possible, I mean, I would do that in a second, but it's just not. It's not. I think the strength of the Knicks is going to just be how much talent they have, but it's also that it works too, because we've seen talented teams in the NBA fail, but it's also just how well these guys play together and how much they just appreciate one another. So, yeah, I'm actually not for trading for KD. He'd make sense for a team like the Rockets, a team like the Warriors. Those were the teams that want him. Maybe like a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, but just the Knicks already have a roster that's set up to either win or to lose, right? It's basically to win or to die trying. I really like the way this team's constructed. I understand as well that they got blown out by Boston, a couple weeks ago or whatever, at home. I know they've lost the Cavs, they've lost the Thunder twice, so they haven't beaten any of the top like S tier type of teams. But it's still a long season ahead for the Knicks. I mean, there's like 25 more games left, something like that. They're the third seed. The fourth seed is what, 5.5 games behind them. Mitchell Robinson, one of the best players in the team, hasn't played. TJ Warren is more than likely going to get activated beginning of March when he's eligible. So you're getting Mitch and TJ Warren, a very good wing who can shoot the basketball and who can score. And then Mitchell Robinson, one of the best rebounders and defensive anchors in the game. Also, preparation, right? Boston and New York would be a lot closer than people would think if they're matched up in a series, but just meeting each other in the regular season, the Celtics are going to win that like they have been. The Celtics beat us, 3-1 last year? And this year they're up 2-0. So we'll have to wait and see. But it just seems like sort of a desperation panic type of move to get KD. It's definitely a clickbait type of article. I mean, anybody can write the New York Knicks could benefit from Kevin Durant. I mean, like the Knicks getting KD, I don't think it'd make them worse. It's a risk because of his age. I mean, KD's 36. By the time next season starts, he'll be 37. I just don't see why the Knicks would do that, right? And he's on a huge contract too. Like, and he's worth it. Like, don't get me wrong, KD's definitely worth whatever he's making, but like his 4 year, $194 million. You look at 2024-25, so he's making over a little bit over 51 million right now. Next season, 54.7 million, and then 2026-27 is unrestricted free agency. So the Knicks would have him under contract for one season, and then he could leave. So that's another thing to keep in mind is that the Knicks should and will extend Mikal Bridges this summer, and he already said he's willing to take a Brunson type of pay cut, which again benefits the Knicks because if you trade all those picks for Bridges, Bridges has not played like I was expecting. He hasn't been bad, but I mean, I'll pull up his numbers. Bridges he was a guy I was expecting to give the Knicks elite defense and probably 20 to 22 a night. And it's kind of unrealistic, I guess, to expect that with Brunson and Cat. They're both averaging 25, more than that too. Brunson's I think it's like 27, but yeah, I don't know. Mikal it's the efficiency too, I guess. Like what's Mikal shooting from three? I mean, he's shooting, yeah, not gonna cut it, man. 35.9%. The defense has been a little bit lackadaisical at times, but there's still a long season ahead. Certainly Mitch coming back will help the defense tremendously. So yeah, Durant just from a fit standpoint, Brunson, Cat, and Durant, it just doesn't get better than that. That'd be so good. I mean, we're looking at three guys that are going to shoot 50% from the field, 40 from three, efficient, clutch scores, played in big games, obviously, but it just doesn't financially work for the Knicks. So yeah, I don't think the Knicks will get Durant. I do think they'll pursue him only if they don't have the playoff run that they want. But I mean, the way the standings at right now, the Knicks are in jeopardy of losing in the second round once again because Boston is the 2 seed and the Knicks are the 3 seed. Last year, the Knicks were the 2 seed, Boston was the 1 seed. And with the way the bracket worked out, the Knicks didn't have to play Boston until the Eastern Conference Finals because Indiana advanced. But the Knicks got decimated with injuries and had to play Indiana in the second round, and they lost in 7. Right now, the 3 seed is just the 3 seed is you're guaranteed essentially to play Boston in the second round just because whoever is lower than the Knicks takes on Cleveland in the second round. If somebody, unless the Knicks like lose, but like, yeah, just in the first round, which, like, God, man, that would be terrible. But yeah, so the Knicks, they've got to just get healthy and go as far as they can. But with Brunson and Cat, they have a chance against Boston. We can't just rule it out, but we will get a glimpse of who the Knicks really are coming up because they take on the Cavs Friday. So they do come back Thursday against the Bulls. And then the next day they're on the road at Cleveland. And then Sunday they're at Boston. So the two best teams in the East within a basically a 4 game span. So the Knicks are going to have to be ready, a 4 day span, I meant to say. But yeah, the Knicks, they're going to have to bring it, man. And again, regular season wins don't really say that much. Like if the Knicks win both those games, it's not like we're winning at all. But if you get blown out, you can't beat those teams. You don't match up well with them. It's a little bit concerning too, because this roster was constructed to win a championship to match up with Boston. They haven't done it yet. But again, I think they'll get there, man. I believe in this team. But yeah, I'm out, guys. Thanks, Daily. Peace.